Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a special episode, as I'm going to call it, of the Wealth Cafe. I wanted to pause and take some time this week to talk about the recent market volatility going on. We're going to review what is happening in these markets, why is it whipsawing around, and how can you emotionally, mentally, and also strategically in your portfolios prepare for everything that may or may not happen in the coming months. So let's take a deep dive into this week. And the past 7 days, really, we have seen markets up, down, and all over the place. And this is for a few reasons. Tariffs have been number one top of mind. And I want to read off to you too the countries in which tariffs are being potentially imposed on. So it is China, Canada, Mexico, major exports of steel and aluminum, major exporters of cars, chips, and pharma. And they're all nations we are going to see reciprocal tariffs and also a 25% tariff on the European Union, targeting all goods coming from that area. So that's a lot of tariffs going on. And when we see tariffs, the question is, who is going to pay for this additional cost? Does it get passed on to the consumer? Do companies have to pick it up, which is going to lower their margins? So people have a lot of fear and concerns about what could potentially happen. We then had all of these tariffs roll out. It felt like day after day, there was another one coming onto the news talking about what was going to be happening. And I'm also going to give the disclaimer that this is not a political episode. This is meant to be informational and give you the updates on what is going on right now. So in addition to seeing these tariffs coming on, we also then had Trump roll back some of these tariffs and the market celebrated and we had a great rise. Then we saw on Friday, Jerome Powell came out and said that they are still going to be considering rate cuts coming this year, but he's not really sure, what we're going to see coming out of Trump in terms of tariffs. However, he is still hoping that we will see a strong economy for the rest of the year, and we are hoping to avoid a recession. However, over the weekend, there were some rumblings that Trump didn't calm those fears and say, hey, don't worry, this is not meant to be a recessionary impact. This is just to have some other negotiations about different issues we have with these countries. He didn't try to calm those fears, which led to Monday and Tuesday, a lot of mixed fear trading going on. And so what you are seeing happening in the markets is people selling off because they are worried about the upcoming economic future, right? Tariffs are, and especially when you're talking about 25% added on to goods that people need to drive cars in order to get to work, especially if we're seeing all these people going back in 5 days a week. Things like chips. Chips are in everything that we use now, from our phones to computers, and so many other different things. And so seeing a tariff on that is really going to potentially, like I said, raise the cost or shrink the margins for these companies, which could lead to more layoffs if we have to, as companies, find ways to cut costs in other areas. So as investors, what do we focus on? What do we do? What do we listen to? And I want you to think back. And for any of my clients who are watching this, we do a financial plan and we look at what are the long-term goals that we have, and anything that is in shorter term, we try to keep them into safer investment options so the cash is ready in there when you need it. If you have money invested into the markets right now, it is hopefully money that you, and it shouldn't be, money that you don't need for a longer period of time. And the goal is that you can wait this out, or even in some of this mess where appropriate, find buying opportunities to add into your portfolios. We've seen a lot of people holding on to cash recently. And so depending on your time horizon and your goals, this could be a good time for you to consider buying or adding in if it's appropriate and if you can tolerate. And this is a really great time for volatility. I actually love to see volatility because it's a great way to test and see how you can handle the changing of markets. We've seen, we've had, yes, some volatility over the past couple of years, but other than 2020 and some moments in 2022, this is really a magnified version of what a lot of investors are kind of used to seeing in markets. It's not always smooth sailing, new highs every day. And so this could present some opportunities. And like I said, this is a great way to test your risk tolerance, which I know can sound a little like, hey, I don't want that kind of test. I'd rather just have smooth sailing. But then that leads you to know that, okay, maybe I can't handle the kind of volatility, with all new clients, we have them now take a risk questionnaire and to understand, okay, if we were to have another event like March of 2020 when the pandemic hit and you were to see those drawdowns, if we were to have another 2008, another late 90s when we had the tech bubble, how would you handle those moments? Right? Are you able to wait this out and say, hey, I know I don't need this money. We're just going to sit here. We're going to wait it out. Or are you tossing and turning at night, unable to sleep because you are so worried about what the next day might hold for your portfolio? I will say that with anybody who has a longer time horizon, make sure you are staying the course, right? It is moments like these where investors make or break, yes, in terms of the volatility, but until you sell, no gain or loss is locked in, right? You can sit here and ride this out and say, okay, I know this is a moment in time. I am willing to wait out this moment for the future growth. When we talk about average market returns and we say it's between 7 and 8%, it's because you have moments in time, days, or multiple days and weeks like you're seeing right now. It doesn't mean that every single, year is going to be the 17, 18% returns like we've seen in the past. It's because there are some years where we're going to be lower, others where we're going to see more growth. And as this year continues to unfold, we will see, do these tariffs really come into effect? Are we able to lower inflation? What does the job market look like? Yes, there are a lot of question marks. And so I want you as an investor, when you are looking at your portfolios, make sure that you can handle the potential volatility that may continue. And also, I want you to think about, for any of your short-term goals, do you have the right risk on your money, right? Are you in cash, a high yield money market? Are you in CDs or bonds that are going to come due? And so make sure that you are taking a look at those investments to make sure that they are properly lined up with their time horizons. And I want you to take a deep breath. I always remind clients of this is we have to remove a lot of emotion, and which is not easy, right? Money is a very emotional thing. I want you to try to remove as much emotion as possible when it comes to looking at the markets these days, especially we are in a politically charged environment. And so I want people to really focus on separating out, okay, am I getting upset because this is market volatility, or am I getting upset because this is my reaction to what is happening politically? There is no wrong or right answer here, but I want you to take that step back and really make sure that you are taking a look and focusing on your money long term. I hate to see when people sell in times like these and then they sit back and they're like, oh my goodness, we could see news come out tomorrow. This is, we don't know that, but we could see news come out that says, hey, we're getting rid of all tariffs, or some other breaking news that causes the markets to skyrocket. Or the other way, you could also have more tariffs imposed and the market could continue to see its volatility. And I don't want you to sit there and think, oh my goodness, I'm now missing out, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. Keep the blinders on a little bit, focus on those goals, and also make sure you are talking to your financial team, whether that's your financial advisor, scheduling an intro call with us, and to get that check, right? To make sure that you are lining up correctly with, hey, here is what my goals are. We always do a dream builder call with prospective clients, so that way we can make sure, is our money set to grow and appropriately invested for these big moments and goals that we want to hit? So make sure you're reaching out to your financial team, ask them what they think, and take a deep breath and continue on with your day from there. So I hope this was a helpful update. And like I said, if you have any questions, want a second look at where your financial plan and investments are set up, we have our link to apply for an intro call in the show notes below. We would love to speak with you and help to calm any nerves and anxiety that is happening right now. And we will see you next week for another episode of the Wealth Cafe.